G'day everybody, my name is Lowell and welcome to the channel. So we have a high tier Patreon choice. Thank you very much for this one. This is America's most beautiful park, Grand Teton 2026. Now, I had to Google where this park is. It's in Wyoming, right next to Yellowstone. So let's jump it. I mean, look at this view already. Oh my God. Let's have a look at this one.
The Teton mountain range soars high above the Wyoming Valley.
Teton? That's how you say it? Okay. Okay.
The Teton mountain range soars high above the Wyoming Valley and Jackson Hole and is one of our country's favorite.
I've heard of Jackson Hole. They have a webcam on YouTube. Had it on for years and years. Okay. I know where you are.
And Jackson Hole and is one of our country's favorite places to visit. Let's explore one of the most magnificent places in North America and honestly, one of my favorite places in the world. Grand Teton National Park.
Oh my God. Look at it.
In this video, we'll explore the park in an order that will hopefully make some sense. So we'll start here at Moose Wilson Road, just outside of Teton Village, and then we'll explore the Chapel of Transfiguration, Jenny Lake, Jackson Lake, Signal Mountain, Oxbow Bend, Jackson Lake Lodge, Snake River Overlook, Schwabarker's Landing, as well as the Molten Barns at Mormon Row, and of course many other breathtaking sights in and around the park.
Oh my God, I'm done already. I'm done already. Just that little bit with the views. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Now, one of the great regions of the park is along Moose Wilson Road. And this used to be a really rough and ready road that was mostly gravel with potholes as large as a Mini. However, they've now paved the entire road. It's now smooth, beautiful to travel. The lane is a little bit skinny, so be careful. This is one of the great areas of the park for wildlife, which is wonderful if they're not running in front of your vehicle. So just travel cautiously. Now, saying that, I have seen elk, deer, and also many moose along the roadside in this area along Moose Wilson Road. So if you want to see some animals, look, there's a really good chance you'll see it in this region. It's also just a beautiful area to drive, particularly in the fall. Along Moose Wilson Road, you'll come to the Lawrence S. Rockefeller Preserve. This 1,100-acre tract was actually donated by the Rockefeller family and features 8 miles of walking trails through beautiful wildflower meadows, forests, and also you can hike along the shores of the beautiful Phelps Lake.
Oh my God.
All right, a great visitor center is the Craig Thomas Discovery and Visitor Center in Moose, and it's massive. In fact, it's about 22,000 square feet of exhibits covering geology, wildlife, mountaineering, and indigenous history. And naturally, if you need some information on the park, hiking, wildlife, you'll be able to get that here from the guides. Also, you can rent bear spray if you do plan on going hiking.
It's something we don't have to worry about in Australia. Bear spray. Yikes. But look at that. No wonder they have floor-to-ceiling windows in that place. Look at the view. Oh, my God.
Bear spray if you do plan on going hiking. The Chapel of the Transfiguration is one of the most photographed small churches in the American West. It's pretty obvious why. It was built in 1925 and still actually holds regular Episcopal services. Now, this cute little log chapel features a large window behind the altar, which just exquisitely frames the soaring Teton Peaks. I have to say, this is one of my favorite places in the park. I mean, it's such a special place. Menner's Ferry takes you back to the earliest days of the Jackson Hole settlement. William Menner arrived in 1894 and then built a hand-drawn cable ferry across the Snake River. In fact, the only river crossing for miles in either direction. He also operated a general store that served as the commercial hub for early homesteaders. Many
Wow.
overlook this site when visiting the park, which means it's also not quite as busy as some of the others. When it comes to food, there's really one standout that I would say is kind of a must-do in the park, and that is Dornans. The food is good, but look, it's the view you go for. You can eat breakfast in a teepee, have dinner on the deck, or a drink.
God, look. I can't get over the views in this park. It's just imagine sitting down there having lunch, and that's the view you get to look at. Oh my God, that is breathtaking.
The view you go
Wow.
for. You can eat breakfast in a teepee, have dinner on the deck, or a drink at the bar, all with the most incredible views of the Tetons. Jenny Lake is one of the crown jewels of Grand Teton, and this becomes pretty obvious in the summer as it does get very busy. In fact, if you're not to Jenny Lake, by about 7 a.m. in the summer, you might be parking a mile or two from the lake. That aside, the lake is beautiful and also offers a number of recreational opportunities when you're here. You can hike the 6-mile loop trail around its shore, take a scenic ferry across the lake, or use it as a gateway to Cascade Canyon, as well as Inspiration Point. Now, if you do venture across the lake, the hike to Inspiration Point is fairly easy. It is, of course, beautiful, and you'll also pass by the gorgeous Hidden Falls. Now, just beyond Hidden Falls, there's a short but steep hike that leads to Inspiration Point. Now, you'll also have access across the lake to Cascade Canyon, which is honestly considered one of the premier hiking destinations in the entire Rocky Mountain region. And of course, don't forget about the other spectacular lakes that are near to Jenny Lake, and that would include Lee Lake, String Lake, Taggart, and Bradley Lakes. Jackson Lake is the largest lake in Grand Teton National Park and actually is one of the largest high-altitude lakes in the entire country. Originally, this was a glacial lake, but it was enlarged by a dam in the early 1900s to serve irrigation needs that were downstream. Now today, you can boat, fish, or kayak here, and of course, like most locations in the park, you'll be able to experience and enjoy some incredible views of the Tetons.
Wow.
Now, it's fair to say that the Chapel of the Transfiguration has the most spectacular location of any chapel, probably in any national park. But look, there is an argument that the interior of the Chapel of the Sacred Heart is even more beautiful. Built back in 1937 entirely from logs, the chapel sits on the shore of Jackson Lake and is a quiet and I suppose almost unexpected sanctuary. Now, it's well worth a visit, but inside it is dark, so you'll need to crank up your ISO on your camera.
Inside of that church looked amazing. Amazing.
Coulter Bay Village serves as Grand Teton's primary hub for outdoor recreation on Jackson Lake's northern shore. Named for legendary mountain man John Coulter, who, by the way, was believed to be the first European American to see this region, the village offers boat ramps, a marina, ranger programs, and direct access to miles of hiking trails. The Indian Arts Museum at the Visitor Center houses a remarkable collection of Native American artifacts, which were donated by the Rockefeller family. Okay, another great viewing point in the park, and of course there are many, is Signal Mountain. And that's where you'll find a 5-mile summit road which climbs to an elevation of about 7,700 feet. Now at that point you'll find an overlook platform which reveals the full sweep of Jackson Hole, the winding Snake River, and of course the Teton Mountain Range. This is really such a beautiful location. Now there's a small parking lot at the top, but you know, like a lot of places here in the summer, it gets busy and gets full. All right, well, the park might feel like it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and no offense to the people who live here, but it kind of is. However, It's actually relatively easy to get to with the fact that the Jackson Hole Airport is right here. In fact, it's the only commercial airport in the United States located entirely within a national park. It's also one heck of an introduction to the Tetons with some incredibly stunning views as you fly in.
Oh my God.
All right,
look at the colors. Look at the colors there in that mountain. I could just sit there all day just staring at it. That is amazing. That is amazing. Wow.
All right, let's go to Oxbow Bend, which is one of, honestly, the premier wildlife watching and photography spots in all of the park. Now, it's not unusual to see moose, bear, bald eagles, great blue herons, trumpeter swans, and even river otters, all in this region. Now, you'll also see another version of wildlife, and that is plenty of photographers. Now, I've been here many times, but to be honest with you, the best time, if you can be here, is actually the fall when, look, the fall colors are really spectacular. And by the way, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Thanks. The most famous lodge in Grand Teton National Park is Jackson Lake Lodge, which has one of the best views of any national park in the country. Now, Jackson Lake Lodge actually opened in 1955 as part of the National Park Service's Mission 66 program to modernize park facilities. It was designed by architect Gilbert Stanley Underwood and has these massive picture windows that perfectly frame the Teton Range. The lodge replaced an earlier 1920s structure and quickly became a gathering place for visitors exploring the park. Now you'll find some basic shopping here as well as some restaurants for lunch and dinner. Triangle X Ranch is an historic dude ranch inside of the park and in fact was founded in 1926.
What the hell is a dude ranch? I don't know what that means. Let me know what a dude ranch is.
It is an historic dude ranch inside of the park and in fact was founded in 1926 by the Turner family. And in fact, they still run the ranch itself. So if you want to do some horseback riding, fishing, or stay in a rustic cabin beneath the Teton Range, well, this is where you can do all of that. And by the way, this just happens to be the only remaining dude ranch inside of a national park. Pretty cool. All right, here's a little bit of history about this great park. Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming was established in 1929, but its creation involved decades of controversy. Native American tribes, including the Shoshone, had inhabited the region for thousands of years before European American fur trappers arrived in the early 1800s. The dramatic Teton Range attracted early explorers and settlers, but local ranchers opposed park designation, fearing economic loss. John D. Rockefeller Jr., I'm sure you've heard of the name, secretly purchased thousands of acres through the Snake River Land Company to preserve the area. In 1943, President Franklin Roosevelt created Jackson Hole National Monument, which was then controversially merged with the original park in 1950, forming today's expanded Grand Teton National Park. Snake River Overlook is where the famous landscape photographer Ansel Adams stood in 1942 to capture, well, probably one of the most famous landscape photographs in all of the country. Now, there is an elevated pullout off of the highway with a fairly generous parking lot. And of course, it's from this location that the Snake River curves so gracefully through the valley floor with the full Teton Range towering high above. I mean, honestly, you just can't take a bad photograph here. All right, another favorite of mine is Schwabacher Landing. This quiet stretch of the Snake River is accessible by a short dirt and gravel road by the way, with plenty of potholes, and offers some of the most stunning and intimate Teton reflections in the entire park. Now, there are several different viewing areas along this stretch of the Snake River, and they all offer similar but just slightly different views.
God, look at the colors in that sky hitting that mountain range. Oh, that is amazing.
Snake River, and they all offer similar but just slightly different views. Now, if you're lucky, hopefully from a distance, you may see some bears and moose, which have been spotted from time to time in this area. In our most recent visit, we saw beaver and heard elk, which were bugling in the distance. It was incredible. Now, this location, I think, is one of the more magical locations in the park, and probably as always, the best time to see it is early in the morning.
God, look at the reflections.
Framed by the jagged peaks of the Teton Range, the molten barns are some of the most photographed structures in America and are the most photographed barns in the world. Today, these rustic silhouettes against the Tetons capture a timeless blend of human history and natural beauty. If you're visiting the barns, you'll likely have many friends, though, as visitors come at sunrise every single morning to watch the barns glow in golden light, with the mountains rising dramatically behind them. More than old farm buildings, the molten barns tell a story of determination and community, connecting us to the pioneering spirit that helped shape Jackson Hole and the American West. Here are a few tips to make your visit to the park even better. Book your lodging and campsites early, in fact, very early. Accommodation inside the park, including accommodation at Signal Mountain Lodge, Jenny Lake Lodge, and of course, Jackson Lake Lodge, as well as all the campgrounds, they fill up many months in advance. Now, if you are having trouble finding accommodations in the park, look at staying at, say, Jackson, for example. In fact, that's what we do because, well, you know, the park is right next door. Hit the highlights early. The iconic Snake River Overlook and Jenny Lake, for example, are considerably less crowded early in the morning. Although I do have to add that not everything is less busy early in the morning. So places like the Molten Barns at Mormon Row, for example, they're actually quite busy early in the morning because, you know, that's the best time for photography. Speaking of photography, this park is one of the greatest places in the country for that hobby. So if you love photography, you probably already know where to go, but the highlights include Schwalbacher Landing, Snake River Overlook, Oxbow Bend, and of course the Chapel of the Transfiguration, as well as Mormon Row. Now, naturally, in addition to those places, there's also the wildlife, which is everywhere in the park. And let's talk about that. You could see while you visit bison, moose, elk, fox, pronghorn, wolves, beavers, and bears. They're all here, and I've seen all of them, except for wolves. I've actually never seen a wolf here. So if you're hiking, be aware of this and be bear aware, and carry bear spray if you are hiking. That's kind of a non-negotiable here. As well, follow all the park's wildlife rules. Now, if you're interested in seeing...
Did that say stay at least 100 I think that's meant to say 100 yards. Stay at least 25 years away from bison. Stay 100 years. I think that's meant to read yards instead of years. But anyway, good advice. Definitely stay away.
All the park's wildlife rules. Now, if you're interested in seeing more wildlife, there are wildlife tours that you can take, and they're offered. In fact, there are many companies who offer them here in the park. I took the Eco Tour a couple of years ago. It was great. I also did the same kind of tour in Yellowstone last week, and we did see lots of animals, and it was wonderful. Okay, if you're visiting, pack and wear layers, no matter the season. Remember, this is a high alpine territory, and combined with the Teton Mountain Range nearby, you can expect any weather from snow to wind to storms to hot weather, so just be prepared. Okay, the elevation, it's real. Many trailheads actually start around 6,800 feet, so be hydrated and be careful as altitude sickness can actually creep up on you pretty quickly. Now, if you are unwell for any reason, there is a hospital in Jackson. It's a very good one. My father-in-law actually was a doctor there for years, and my mother-in-law was a nurse for many years as well. But there's also a medical clinic near the Jackson Lake Lodge, although it's only open during the summer season. Driving through this park is a wonderful experience, and some of the best views actually are alongside US Highway 191 and 89, which runs along the eastern edge. Now, you'll also, along this area, find many pull-offs with spectacular views, such as the Snake River Overlook. But the Teton Park Road, which is the inner loop, puts you much closer to the mountains. Don't miss doing that. And finally, don't forget about the nearby areas, such as John D. Rockefeller Jr. Parkway, Yellowstone. Maybe actually some of you have already been to or will be going to Yellowstone. I mean, it's just amazing. And nearby Jackson. And I love Jackson. Even though most of the people living there now are billionaires, I love visiting. My wife is originally from there, and we are fortunate to come back every year. So there you go, the incredible, the stunning, the majestic Grand Teton National Park.
I gotta say, that video was excellent. That video was very well presented. I will put the information down in the description and the link to this video and the channel. But the views were just stunning. As you said, you can't take a bad picture here. Every time another view came up, it's just like, oh my God, that is amazing. Amazing. That's another one that has to go on the list to see. Bucket list is getting longer and longer every day. I tell you what, there's a lot of stuff to see. America is such a wonderful and beautiful country. I would, if I lived there, that's all I would do. Just travel around and watch and look at it. It's just breathtaking. It is absolutely breathtaking. So, I didn't know anything about that park, but that was a great video. Thank you very much for suggesting that one. You know who you are. But yeah, that was really worth watching. That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I got to tell you, Wyoming is definitely becoming one of my favorite states. There's hardly any people that live there, but you've got obviously Teton, and then you've got Yellowstone. It's just, I don't know what would be better than that. It's just absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What a park. What a park. Those views are just breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. Let me know if you enjoyed that one, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. Make sure you stay safe, and I will definitely see you in the next reaction video. Oh, you're still here? You want more content? Why don't you check out my Patreon down here? You'll get plenty more content and some exclusive videos over there too. If not, why not check out this one over here?